Hey, what's up, everybody? This is iNcontroL. I'm going to start uploading some videos to YouTube, and one of this kind of series that I want to do is just I'm not sure how set in stone I want to make this, but it's going to be some kind of weekly commentary on life or some subject or another. And it's going to function like a vlog, but I don't want to call it a vlog. A lot of vlogs, I don't know. This is gonna set the wrong tone, but for a lot of them, they're like, like day-to-day stuff. I want this to be more of like kind of a mini series of here's a subject and I want to yap at you about it. And you guys know I can be long-winded, so I grab your popcorn, grab your pillow sometimes, maybe not all the time. But anyways, that's gonna be this. It's gonna fall into that category. So think of it as a pseudo vlog, but more of like a Geoff talking at you about something. We'll come up with a clever name for it. And then, of course, with these first few videos, just to get it out of the way, I understand my webcam's not great. I understand that I'm talking to a gaming headset, so I'm looking to upgrade all those things and bring you higher production quality. I've had a YouTube channel for a few years, back to the NASL Day 1 days, or NASL Season 1, excuse me. But I haven't touched it in forever, and I'm just interested in producing more content, and I've got a lot to say. So this is a great place to kind of start working at that. So it's going to be slow and steady, couple videos a week or every other week. Low production to higher production. We're going to build up from here. Okay, so stick with me, and if you like what you see, let me know about it. If you don't, I guess let me know about that too. The small channels start off with hearing everything, so hopefully, someday we'll get so big that I can, in honesty, say we have to filter these comments. Again, I digress. So this video is going to be called something along the line. There is no name for it, but it's about Blizzcon. Okay, so this is a subject that is near and dear to me and was kind of a hot button topic on a few shows, and people have asked me about it. So I kind of want to put out a video to put it to rest. Honestly, let's start off with that. There's no escaping the accusation, but people are going. It's already been out there. Like even with my tweets, people were like, "Oh, he's just trying to milk the drama." Okay, sure. You can say that. That's fine. The honest truth is this is something that's really important to me. It's something that I do feel strongly about. And I'm a very opinionated, kind of outspoken guy. I'm not really one to have feelings or opinions and then to like actively hide them. This day and age, actively look for ways to communicate them in ways that don't get me into more trouble. If you've known me over my career, there have been times where that was not the thought process. I'd be like, I'm upset about that. Geoff's upset about that. Fuck you. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble. Screw you still. And it's like, well, I'm still in trouble. Okay, I'm sorry. So I like to think I've grown and matured, and the end, well, not the end result, but the progressive result that you're seeing before you now is someone that wants to let you in, wants to communicate on important things, wants to share their opinion, be it controversial or not, but wants to do it in a way that hopefully people can have a dialogue with and not feel like they need to gouge my eyes out or just judge me an idiot. So that's the gigantic precursor to this. BlizzCon. Okay, so the subject matter, for those of you that are not aware, BlizzCon is the celebration of the WCS season. It really represents the big kind of Super Bowl event of StarCraft 2. This is where supposedly the best player of all the lands will be crowned, and it's one of the absolute final events of the year. It's the final big one from Blizzard's. In fact, most often now with kind of BWI and a few of the other tournaments that have appeared from Blizzard, it's really the only time Blizzard steps in and says, we're doing this. This is our big thing. Of course, they put on WCS, so that's where it gets murky. But this is their big event. And it's a huge honor to be a part of. For those of you that may not know, my history with BlizzCon stretches way back. I remember going to, well, I don't know if I can put a year on it, but it's like 2008, 2007, 2009. I went to all those BlizzCons. I slept on buddies' floors. I was 3 feet behind Rhett when he took a game off of Flash. Was it Flash? No, it was Nada. Excuse me, it was Nada. I went there and watched Greg absolutely demolish Yellow. I had drinks with Savior. I made an ass of myself while having drinks with Savior. And then the next year he remembered me and called me the big guy and smiled and had more drinks with me. And I have all kinds of stories. The point is, it goes way back for me. It was the event, especially in Brood War. That was the time when we had WCG and we had Blizzcon. And few and far between as a North American Brood War player. It was WCG stuff, which usually was like a New York event, and then your regional stuff, and then the Pan American Championship if you were lucky enough to qualify for that, which I did several times. So BlizzCon's always been a very big deal. In the last couple of years, very literally, the last couple of years, too, I have become more of a commentator and personality. Again, for people that are perhaps listening to me for the first time, I'll be quick. I used to be a pro gamer. Not a super successful one, but a pro gamer. I competed. My job was to be a player. And as such, not going to BlizzCon made sense. It meant, you know, professional casters were hired, personalities. I didn't qualify. Okay. I'll send myself and go watch some awesome stuff. Last year was my first big year as a caster and personality, and I was hired to go to BlizzCon, and it was an amazing event. It was huge. I watched Jaedong nearly defy all odds and win the entire thing. I sat on a big prestigious table with some of my good friends and great personalities from the scene. And you know, it's one of those things where you don't know what you've had until you've lost it. But I felt at home. I was supposed to be there, and it was kind of interesting because, to pull back the curtain for you guys a little bit, as I was hired for that gig, I was told by, not to name names, but a couple of the people that did the hiring process, that it was like, you know, iNcontroL, there is some pushback on you specifically being hired for this event, and that annoyed me. I was like, you know, why? What do you mean? And they're like, well, you know, they wanted some other people in there. There's some big fans of Husky. There's some big fans of these other things. And especially at the time, I was like, you know, I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for that. I deserve to be here. I've been to most, if not all, the big events. I've hosted. I've casted. I draw large crowds. I'm a devout streamer. I'm a former pro gamer. My life is StarCraft 2. I understand my brand of commentary and personality is not everyone's cup of tea, but that's precisely part of the reason why I'm so popular, is because I do add some mix to it. And it was never with the, like, I was never told that there was some pushback with a, like, well, you could be fired. It was nothing scary or stupid like that. In fact, it was unnecessary that I was told what I was told, but I was told it. And it put a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. And at the event, you know, even, and I'll get to this too, I have bullet points over here that I'm reading off of, but this is going to be long-winded, guys, I can already feel it, I'm sorry. But this is, you know, like I said, very important to me, so just bear with me. I can already, you know, one of the subjects I'll touch on later, as I was saying, is when this whole thing goes on, you're open to criticism from people. They find things they don't like, and then they talk about it as a point against you. And that was one of the things. They said they didn't, you know, some people said they didn't like my performance at last BlizzCon. Fair enough, absolutely. Again, I don't wake up every day and say, how can I please absolutely everyone? I don't do that. I am myself to the best of my ability, and I try to represent this game, my team, me, and my sponsors as best as I can, but as genuinely as I can. So they didn't like that I made some jokes and that kind of stuff. Again, not going to stick on that too long. We'll get to that subject a little bit later. But I thought the event went well. Okay, so then you have this year where, again, I'm a full-time personality and caster, and BlizzCon's kind of a far-off thing, but it really never dawned on me that I wouldn't be a part of that. I consider myself one of the absolute top commentators. You can call it ego, you can call it arrogance, whatever. I'm not going to do the ranking thing or anything like that, but I believe myself to be one of the absolute top commentators. I think I'm entertaining, I think I'm funny, I think I know the game really well. I think I give a goddamn barrel full of passion for the to use that word, which is so funny that it has all this the marks against it that it does. But the fact is, I feel like in spades across what you need to be a personality that entertains in StarCraft 2, I feel like I have it. So I was pretty confident. Year went great. Represented Evil Genius as well. Did commentary at all the DreamHacks, except for Russia, except for Moscow, which I voluntarily said I didn't want to do. All the DreamHacks, I was in Katowice on behalf of IEM, and a few other events, WCS as well. I hosted a few of those events, European finals, that kind of stuff. So, great year, very successful. As BlizzCon's kind of looming over, and again, this is under the giant, now nebulous heading of why BlizzCon's important to me, it became kind of clear. I was like, you know, it's like a month and a half away and I haven't heard anything. And then, of course, everyone in esports talks, and eventually word got back to me, again, not naming names, that I wasn't going to be picked up for it. And I never got a real clear answer on why. Not directly. No one's ever approached me from Blizzard or otherwise and said, you know, Geoff, at X event you did Y, and now you're poopy. You're done. You know, it was never anything like that. I've indirectly, well, no, I'm going to keep this organized. I'm going to try to. Again, guys, you can enter my brain. I'm very scatterbrained. That's when it hit me how important BlizzCon was to me. Because to me, it's a representation of StarCraft. This is StarCraft. If you're at BlizzCon as a player, you are a god. If you're there as a commentator, if you're there as a host, if you're there as a translator or an observer, you are one of the most important people of that event, of StarCraft. You are. That's the intangible that's attached to it. Is that strictly true? No. There's limitations, of course, across the board. There's only 16 players at BlizzCon. There's a hell of a lot more players that are really, really damn good. And, you know, we can open up the whole Pandora's box talking about WCS as a system and whether or not it does truly find the best players. That's a subject for another day. The point is, it's really important to me. So, when a lot of people, I've even tweeted this, that they talk about, you know, why were you upset by it? Why does that hurt you? It's because that tradition sticks back to my early years as a Brood War professional player. We're talking 8-9 years now. What I view BlizzCon as I just explained at great depth, probably too much depth. And then kind of lastly, just pride. Pride's in there too, for better or worse. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to try to lie very little to you. You have to hold back some of the truth, otherwise that's where you get fired. Like I said as well, I believe myself to be one of the best commentators. And when you are explicitly held outside of a very important event, the important event like this one, and then there's 9 personalities that are hired as commentators and hosts, and you're not on that top 9 list, that's where you go, shoot, I still think I'm the best, but is it just me that thinks that? Am I an idiot? So it kind of sucks. So that's the opening statement about why it mattered so much to me. And now I'm going to break it down into kind of 3 categories, and I'll headline them right now. So the first one is I'm going to discuss the awkwardness of this video, and I'll get more into that in a second because it's awkward to talk about this, and let me explain why. The number 2 is talking about why I feel the way I do, which is going to be a little bit of overlapping with what I just did. And the last one is moving forward, talking about where we go from here. Okay, so the first thing, discuss the awkwardness of this video. It is awkward. There's 3 things that I have underneath this category. The first one is the criticism from the public, and that's something I talked about earlier. I went on, well, I'll just be categorical about it. Whenever something kind of controversial like this comes up, you naturally have divisions of people. You have people on one side that are like, this is preposterous. iNcontroL should be there. He's a great commentator. He's a good guy. Yada, yada, yada. And those are, of course, nice comments to read. They make you feel good. You're like, oh, wow, okay, great. There are people pulling for me. And, of course, there are always people pulling for me. You know, I don't need to be told that that's the case. I know that. But then there's the other people that feel the need to go, no, hold on. I don't like him. He's a terrible commentator. He's not funny. I don't like him. Yada, yada, yada. Now, this is the part where I tell you guys, look, I've been in the spotlight for a long time. A small spotlight. I'm not trying to say I'm like, you know, Brad Pitt or something like that, but what I'm trying to explain to you guys is I've had people talk about me like I'm a chunk of meat for a long time, so I'm fairly used to this. But when a particularly large bee's nest gets kicked and there's a lot of people talking about you, unless you've experienced this phenomenon, you just have to take my word for it. It's really hard reading across Twitter, you know, Team Liquid, Reddit, YouTube comments, Battle.net comments, like just tons, hundreds, if not thousands of people that are the minority, but they come forward and they say, no, look. One time I went up to iNcontroL and tried to shake his hand and he walked away without looking at me. I hate him. He's a jackass. I'm going to kill him someday. I'm going to eat his liver. You know, like, I'm exaggerating, obviously, joking. But the point I'm trying to make is, at some point when you read those comments, when you're sent those messages, so like let's say, you know, your immediate advice is, well, iNcontroL, you shouldn't be reading forums. I disagree. I'll get into that in a second. But a lot of times it gets sent to you too. Emails, DMs, PMs, Twitter messages. So it hits you. You can't hide from it. And that just sucks. It sucks. As a guy that does put himself out there, I was on State of the Game, I was on Inside the Game, I do shows. I'm doing this frickin' video. I stream every single day for 5 or 6 hours. It's not like I'm going to play the martyr or the victim here, but what I am telling you is that when it gets inadvertently kicked up because I wasn't hired, it's not like I did something, it's because I didn't do something, it kind of sucks. So again, not asking for sympathy, but this is part of the awkwardness of this. And then talking a little bit to the criticism guys, and again, a lot of people under this category, this bullet point, will just say, well, don't read that shit. You can on some level. That's the first thing. The second thing is, no. I think part of the reason why I am able to do what I'm able to do is because I don't bury my head in the sand and pretend everyone's nice. I will go out there and I'll read the comments. I will ask for opinions, and I will say and do things that not everyone's going to agree with. And there's pros and cons there. But in my experience, as long as you moderate that and don't invite too much of it and don't go too over the top, like some of my comments over the years have been on shows, it's mostly a good thing. Because you're being genuine to the best of your ability, and you're soliciting honest responses from people, so you feel more connected to them. Again, this could be a whole different subject, but that's the general idea here. The second bullet point of this is it's not usual to complain about not being hired, and I think that's super awkward about this too, right? I tweeted. Actually, I'll just lump them together. My third one is unprofessional response. So I'll just compound these together. Try to be a little bit more brief for you guys. I tweeted, ha ha ha, you know, and like, I'm done, I'm gonna go play Warhammer. Like, I was melodramatic, I was pissed. I don't apologize for that, I'm upset. People called it unprofessional, they were upset about it. Not a lot of people, mind you, but there were some. I'm not asking for their forgiveness. I'm not going to begrudge them that. That's totally fine. If they think in that situation I should have acted way more mature and professional, they're probably right. But I was hurt, and I was upset. For all the reasons stated previously. But then also because that's who I am. I do that kind of stuff. Sometimes I step over the bounds and I need to apologize and work at being better about it. But if I vent by, you know, kind of saying that sucks and I'm upset and I'm sad, that's who you're going to get, man. But it is unprofessional. And the second bullet point there is, which I kind of bunched up here, but it's a little bit confusing. I said, not usual to complain about not being hired. Yeah, that's super weird, isn't it? Like, how first world problem or, like, petulant can that possibly be? You didn't hire me. You know, like, that's stupid. And I never do that otherwise. If I'm not hired for one of the major events, I'm happy and I celebrate the people that get to go, and I'm happy that there's so much talent that it's not the same people at every single event. Blizzcon has special uniqueness to it, so it's just awkward to complain and whine about it. But that's also in part why I'm doing this video, is to explain to you why I felt the way I did. And again, the end of this video is me moving past it, and I truly will be. You're not going to hear me. I'm not going to make this a bigger deal than it is, guys. Let's just get it out there and then move on, and then let's have a hell of a BlizzCon. That's the end of the day thing. Those players are playing for life-changing money. Those commentators are in a great spot. I don't dislike any of them. I'm not upset at any of them for taking the job. And I'm not like, this is not my sign-off video on Blizzard either. StarCraft 2 is my life. I'm going to keep going, so we'll get to that in a second. The second subject under this is why I feel the way I do. And again, like I said, this is a little bit of a recap. Or not even recap, but it's a little bit overlap with what I open with. 3 things. My life is StarCraft 2. I'm overly sensitive, and I deserve it. So that's what I call them. First one, my life is StarCraft 2. I pay for my house, my car, my dog, my wife, my food, my clothes, everything with StarCraft 2. That's how I did this. I won a national championship. I was invited onto a reality TV show. I qualified for an elite New York final, which then qualified me for the Pan American Championship. I went from a poor college student to winning enough earnings to send myself to places to get me in front of cameras who decided that I'm a funny and nice guy, that got me signed to Evil Geniuses, that traveled me around the world, that got me a salary where I could, you know, start paying for an apartment, I could buy a car. And I've lived in Arizona, I've lived in Phoenix, Arizona, San Francisco. I've been to Korea on my own dime. You've probably heard my sob story a million times before, but StarCraft 2 is absolutely my life. I love this game. It's in my blood. You know, a lot of people ask me, have you ever gotten tired Never since I was 12 years old, I'm now 29, in 17 years have I ever gotten tired of StarCraft 2, except, I have to be honest, like 4 months ago, there was a stint where I was playing 8 or 9 hours a day as a non-pro gamer, which is very different as a pro gamer, because as a pro gamer you're fighting like for an end goal. You're like, oh, this tournament's coming up, I want to win that. As a non-pro gamer, you're just kind of playing, and there is joy in that, and I'll talk a different subject. But anyways, I did get tired of it for like a couple weeks, but after that, no, and before that, no. I've always loved StarCraft 2, and I'm in debt to it. It, like I said, not just pays my life, but it's enriched my life. It's traveled me. It's a lot of my best friends I've met through this game. Can't say it enough, and I won't spend the whole video talking about why I love StarCraft 2. Because if I did, I'd have to bust out the tissue box, start crying, take off my shirt, and then make a breakdown video. Which maybe, we'll do that later. The second one is, you are overly sensitive. Let's put it out there. Let's just put it out there, because it has been put out there, but let's do it in this video too. I can be a big whiny baby. I can be very sensitive. I look into things with more emotion than they perhaps deserve. For example, it was only on 3 or 4 months ago that the StarCraft Twitter followed me. Big frickin' deal. Who cares? It's an oversight, or maybe there's someone actively that just doesn't want to get my tweets. I don't know, but I knew. I knew, and I cared, and I looked at it, and I went through the people they do follow, and I was like, oh, I'm a bigger deal than them. How stupid is that, guys? And I'm being honest with you. This is a story that maybe you should never get out there, but it is me, and it is out there, and I'm sensitive. I'm overly sensitive, and if you followed my career, you know that that's come up. It's reared its ugly head many a time. Someone will say something and I'll fire off emotionally, I'll get mad. These things happen. And this was another example of that. I'm not asking to be excused. I'm not telling you that this is just the way it is, and I'm out of control. God, I can't avoid the pun. Of what I do because I'm overly sensitive. No, I believe that I can always improve my actions. I believe I can always improve on everything. This is one of the things I'm improving upon. So, to allow this to get under my skin, to allow this to hurt me the way it did, I have to admit that I'm overly sensitive. Okay? So do with that what you will. The last thing, and this is like, I shouldn't even just read it off because it's meant to be short, but to convey an idea. But here it is. I call it "You Deserve It." I believe I do. I believe and I said this earlier. Part of the reason why I got the emotional response I did is because I think I was snubbed of something for incorrect reasons. I haven't been given any reasons. I've heard whisperings of things like they wanted a safe broadcast, like Richard Lewis reported, which I think is just dumb. Yeah, I'll say dick jokes, I'll say poop jokes, I guess. But if someone looks me in the eye before a broadcast, which by the way has never happened, within reason, and then they say, Geoff, I need you to not make a dick joke. You cannot make a poop joke. Geoff will not make that joke, okay? If I make that joke on a broadcast, it's because either I was told explicitly, yeah, be yourself, or I wasn't told anything. And that's frustrating. That's really frustrating because, like I said, I feel like I add to a broadcast that I'm capable of making those jokes. Have I ever stepped over the line? Do a lot of people not like that kind of humor? Yes, absolutely. So if you're looking for a super safe broadcast, telling me nothing and letting me go at it isn't your best bet. But not knowing me well enough or trusting me well enough to say, hey, this is a super professional broadcast. We have 95-year-old ladies watching this and 3-year-old children. You're in a suit and tie. I need you to not cuss a single time. I won't cuss a single time. And I'm being very bold, very plain about that. There's a lot of you out there that's going to be like, nope. Nope. I think you can't do it. And that's fine. At the end of the day, you can believe me or not. So the last category, and just to break it down again, we had first talked about the awkwardness of this video. I wanted that time to kind of explain my thoughts and why I'm doing this, but then also make it very clear that we're putting it to rest after this video goes out. I'll discuss it in the comments with you guys, but I'm not going to take any more attention for this. I just want to put this out there. You can deal with it. You can judge me, or you can understand me. Hopefully you'll understand me better for it, and then we'll get it out of the way. It's done. And then the second category is explaining why I feel the way I do, talking about StarCraft 2 being my life, talking about how I'm overly sensitive, and lastly, how I actually felt like I deserved it. That's how I felt. So the third one is the happy moving on. Okay, so in this category, the first thing under this is not giving up. There's a lot of people that reached out to me and said, Geoff, don't give up. Stick around, please. We really appreciate what you do. And I know that when I say a lot of people, I'm not talking about hundreds. It was like, 15 or 20. Okay. So I'm not going to try to make it sound like this is like this huge concern over the StarCraft 2 scene or something like that. Nope. StarCraft 2 is my life. Next year, I fully plan on doing more of the same, if not more. I want to host a show. I want to, as you can see here, I want to develop a YouTube channel. It's going to be very StarCraft 2 centric. It's going to be gaming related, by the way. I will definitely talk about other games. I'll talk about movies. I can talk about my life. It's going to be more about me, but me is StarCraft, so I feel pretty confident in sharing that with you guys. I haven't yet signed with EG. That talk is happening in November. I fully plan on doing it. I don't see any reason why not. But I guess, things do happen, so we'll see about that, and I'll share that with you guys as well, of course. But moving forward, I look to do more of the same. I want to be a better commentator. I want to be a better host. I want to be a better player. And I hope to be at the next Blizzcon. And if I'm not, okay, we'll get through that as well. There's no gun to my head, and there's no clock. I'm gonna keep doing this until they drag me away from it because I frickin' love it. And then the second thing is what the future holds, but I kind of did that. So that's this, guys. That's the wrap up for this video. Is just talking to you about why it was so important to me, how I felt, and then this third thing is moving forward. I am going to be at BlizzCon. I got hired to be a personality at the Intel booth. Intel has been a huge supporter of EG and of course esports, so I was happy to do it. It does put me in BlizzCon, which is a little bit awkward, a little bit uncomfortable, because I'm not a big confrontationist kind of guy, so when a lot of people come up and they're like, "Oh, you should have been casting," or anything along those lines, it puts me in that weird spot where I have to put my wall up and be like, "Oh gosh, thank you for feeling that way," but aren't these guys doing great? Ha ha. Like it kind of sucks, but at the end of the day, I'm at BlizzCon. I'm gonna watch great games. I'm gonna cast for an amazing sponsor. And I'm going to get to meet a lot of you guys and shake your hands and be at an awesome celebration with you. So how bad can that really be? Not that bad at all. And then after that, I'm going to be at Home Story Cup as a host alongside Rotterdam and Winter, Todd, and a whole bunch of other people. And it's going to be an amazing event. And then there's still more to come for November and myself. An event that has not yet been clarified that I'm super excited to do. So, guys, this was super long-winded. My mouth is super dry, and I apologize. Usually YouTube videos shouldn't be more than like 15 minutes. I'm guessing this is like a fucking hour or something like that. If you watch the whole thing, thank you. As always, with these kind of things, I'm going to start uploading videos. They're going to be movie reviews. They're going to be vlogs like this. Maybe a show to playthroughs. I don't know. I'm not going to make promises that I can't follow up on. Just know that my attention is now on this, and I'm going to start growing it. As I said earlier, I'm going to improve the webcam and the mic, hopefully fairly soon. If you have any advice to share with that, feel free to share it, please, in the comments below. And as always, if you're wanting to support me, do consider following me on Twitter, iNcontroL. Check out my stream on Twitch. It's iNcontroL TV there. And then with all these YouTube videos, I encourage you to click the subscribe button if you find my content fanciful at all. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys are awesome. And I appreciate you guys listening to an old man ramble on and on about things that, in the grand scheme of things, aren't the biggest of deals, but are near and dear to my heart. So yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys soon, okay? Take it easy.